Pick up the tech tonight, fifth of the
Yeah,
season.
it's ridiculous. I got a technical for clapping. So, like, if we should all just go on the calendar now and pick a game that I'm going to be suspended for if I'm going to get technicals for clapping. I asked Gerda. Gerda said that I got a technical for clapping.
Gerda!
So, if any technical should be taken away, it should be that one. If it's truly for clapping, that's what they said they gave it to me for was for clapping. So it's
Body language doesn't lie, and neither does a player who's done staying quiet. That's the face of the WNBA, telling officials exactly what she thinks of a call her own coach barely bothered to defend. The technical foul, it was for clapping. And the fallout is a lot bigger than one whistle.
Up for her players, Stephanie White, all you had to do in the press conference was say, hey, the players on the other team, they were playing dirty all game long. Duana Bonner, Alyssa Thomas, those two guys were playing dirty. Stephanie White, she ignored all of the dirty play. She ignored all of the thug basketball, refused to stick up for her star player, refused to stick up for her team, but we expect that from Stephanie at this point. Caitlin Clark, she'll speak up for herself at least.
Start with what actually happened Monday night at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. In a game, the Indiana Fever won 86-77 over the Phoenix Mercury. Caitlin Clark picked up the 5th technical foul of her season, with the officials citing clapping and instigating. That ties her with Angel Reese for the most technicals in the entire league this year. Now sit with the contrast. Clark walked to the podium and named names. Her head coach, Stephanie White, asked about the same call, basically shrugged, saying she guessed clapping counted as taunting. Same moment, two completely different responses.
At least, and instead of speaking in generalities, she said, you know what? I'm going to name referees by name from now on. If you give me a technical foul and all I did was clap, I'm gonna name you by name. So that next time we play this team, next time we play a game and you're refereeing my games and my fans see who's refereeing,
The referee Clark called out by name is Gerda Gatling, a veteran WNBA official, and a star publicly naming the person who whistled her almost never happens in this league. Players complain in generalities. Clark went specific, on purpose. Part of what's fueling this is a rule change. The WNBA rolled out new freedom of movement guidelines this season, tightening what counts as contact, and Clark has spent the year in foul trouble adjusting to it. So when she draws a technical for clapping while Mercury players walk away clean from the same scrum, her frustration has a logic to it. The part that works in her favor is fresh. Last month, Dallas Wings guard Paige Beckers got a technical for clapping against Atlanta on May 22nd. The league reviewed it and rescinded it within 2 days. That precedent is sitting right there. Apply the same standard, and Clark drops back to 4 technicals. Don't, and you invite the obvious question about why an identical clap means different things for different stars. Either way, that public call-out will likely cost her another fine on top of the $1,000 this one already carries.
not at all.
So even within that, though, how aware do you have to be of the 8 technical fouls?
I mean, I'm going to play with emotion. I'm going to play with passion. And if they're going to give me a technical foul for clapping, then so be it. That's their choice. And the league can come back and review that play. And I'd love to hear what they say of the reasoning of why I got the technical foul in that situation and why other players on their team didn't get a technical foul in that situation. If anything, split it. Okay, fine. Everybody gets a technical foul. That wasn't how they were handed out. So I'd love to know. But obviously, that's what I went to Gerda and said. I said, why'd you give me a technical foul? She said, because I was clapping and instigating. I said, okay, then you just don't like competitive basketball. Damn. And that's just facts. That's just reality.
Now rewind to how this even started, because the clap didn't come from nowhere. Late in the fourth quarter, Clark got tangled up with Duana Bonner near the free throw line. Bonner, in case you forgot, is a former Fever player who left Indiana under messy circumstances last season, waived in June of 2025, after which she said the fit just didn't work out. So there's history baked in. Clark was whistled for a personal foul, her 5th of the night. She clapped. Gatling hit her with the technical. And then the whole thing detonated. In the span of about 8 seconds, 6 technical fouls were handed out. Bonner and Sophie Cunningham got into a finger-pointing standoff and drew offsetting techs. Myesha Hines-Allen and Alyssa Thomas went at it and drew offsetting techs of their own. Then Hines-Allen shoved Thomas on the very next possession, picked up a second technical, and got ejected. And to cap the absurdity, Bonner stepped to the line to shoot the technical free throw that came off Clark's foul and missed it. 4 technicals on the Fever, 2 on the Mercury. Total chaos in under 10 seconds of game time.
And folks, this is the clapping. This is the clap that we're talking about. Boom, she sees him. Clap, 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 clap. That's it. That's what you got a technical foul for.
That right there is the entire crime. A clap. And this is where the argument in this video gets to its real point, the one worth taking seriously. Clark isn't just any player flirting with a suspension. She is, by a wide margin, the biggest draw the WNBA has ever had. The Fever sit at 10-7, and Clark just dropped 24 points and 9 assists in this game. Her 6th straight game with at least 20 points, the longest streak of its kind in league history. 8 technical fouls triggers an automatic 1-game suspension. She's 3 away, with 27 games still on the schedule. So the question stops being whether a clap deserves a technical and starts being what the league can actually afford. Because suspending Caitlin Clark doesn't just punish a player, it punishes everyone who built their season around her being on the floor.
Going to happen, just like the All-Star vote fans are too easily triggered by BS, this league has business partners and obligations to deliver on. It's a good point. I dare you to suspend me. I dare you to suspend me. See how happy those media partners are if you suspend me on for a national TV game. See how happy Peacock is. See how happy NBC is. See how happy Amazon Prime is when you suspend the moneymaker.
Think about who that includes. Clark's games are the ones the WNBA puts in its biggest national windows. Broadcasts on NBC, Peacock, and Amazon Prime Video. The same partners the league leaned on to launch its new national television era. The commentators here put it bluntly. Dare the league to suspend the moneymaker on a national TV night, and watch how thrilled those partners are to air a marquee game without its marquee name. It's a real form of leverage, and Clark clearly understands she's holding it. When she says, "Go ahead, suspend me for clapping," she's not bluffing. She knows the league has every incentive to keep her playing, but there's a counterweight the video skips right past, and it matters. If the WNBA waves away technicals just because a player is famous, it quietly undermines the same officiating it's trying to defend. And Clark herself has admitted, more than once this season, that she's earned some of her technicals fair and square. So the league is on a tightrope. Enforce the rules evenly and risk benching its biggest star, or bend them for one player and invite every other locker room to scream favoritism. There's no clean answer.
The audio, right? Of course, they're not going to watch film, right? And if they do watch film, it's not going to be of any substance. They're not going to learn anything. They're not going to take away the right lessons. So I'm assuming we're going to the other game. And instead of moving forward, we're like, "Oh, Caitlin Clark, yeah, this is your show. You're going to run it." Nope. Instead, we're going to say, "All right, you, AB, you can be the hub. And then Kelsey Mitchell, we can run through you." And then Caitlin Clark will get tired and be like, "All right, time for me to dominate." I hope that's not the case, but Stephanie White hasn't given me much hope so far. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section.
So where does all of this actually land? Start with the immediate stakes. The WNBA has confirmed it will review Clark's technical, and in the short term, that review is the whole ballgame. Follow the Booker's precedent from a few weeks ago, and this gets rescinded, Clark falls back to 4, and the suspension math resets. Don't. And the league is openly telling its audience that the same clap means one thing for a Dallas guard and another thing for the most watched player in the sport. That is not a good look for a league that spends most of its energy insisting the officiating is fair. Now layer in the timing, because it sharpens everything. Indiana and Phoenix don't get a cooling off period. These two teams run it back Wednesday night at this same Gainbridge Fieldhouse, with all the bad blood from a game where order collapsed in under 10 seconds still fresh. Bonner against the Fever bench, Hines Allen and Thomas, who already had to be pulled apart, and Clark, 3 technicals from a suspension, walking right back into the exact environment that produced the last one. If you wanted a recipe for another officiating firestorm, this is it. But step away from the whistles, because the most revealing thread in this whole story isn't really about Gerda Gatling. It's about leadership. Watch what Clark did and what her coach didn't. Clark took the heat, named the official, demanded a review, and dared the league to act. Stephanie White asked about the same call, offered that she guessed clapping was taunting, allowed that some of her stars' technicals were controllable, and promised to keep reminding Clark to stay aware. One of those is a player going to war for herself and her teammates. The other is a coach managing upward, careful not to say anything that might land back on her own desk. That contrast is the quiet story of Indiana's season. When the dust-up happened, it wasn't the head coach who stepped in for the team's stars. It was the players. Hines Allen got ejected sticking up for her teammates. Cunningham got tangled defending the group. The solidarity came from the roster, not the bench. And fairly or not, that's the kind of thing that follows a coaching staff around. Players notice who has their back when the cameras are rolling and the calls aren't going their way. The broader truth this game exposes is simple. Caitlin Clark versus the officials is no longer a one-night story. It's shaping up to be the defining subplot of the entire WNBA season. She's tied with Angel Reese for the league lead in technicals. She's adjusting in real time and in public to brand new freedom of movement rules that have put her in foul trouble all year. And she's doing it while carrying the league's ratings on her back, which means every one of these calls gets litigated by millions of people who never watched women's basketball before she showed up. And that's exactly why the league is stuck. The commercial reality is real. Clark is the engine. The national windows are built around her, and a suspension would be a self-inflicted wound during the very season the WNBA is trying to prove its new television deal was worth the money. But the competitive reality is just as real. A league that visibly shields its biggest name from its own rulebook stops being a fair competition and starts being a production. Clark isn't even asking for special treatment. She's asking for consistency. The trouble is that consistency, applied honestly, might be the exact thing that benches her. So the dilemma is genuine, and there's no version where everyone walks away happy. Rescind the technical, and the officials look like they fold under star pressure. Uphold it, and the math marches Clark toward a suspension that torches a national broadcast. Suspend her when she hits 8, and the league hands its critics the loudest possible example of cutting off its nose to spite its face. Protect her from the threshold, and every other team has a legitimate grievance. Pick your poison. And don't lose sight of the money piece, because it's quietly escalating. That clapping technical already carries a $1,000 fine. Publicly calling out a named official is the kind of thing the league typically tacks another fine onto. On top of that, the WNBA sends a formal warning letter to players approaching the technical limit, which means Clark is now officially on the clock, in writing. This isn't an abstract debate anymore. It's costing her real money and building a paper trail the league can point to if and when it decides to drop the hammer. For context on how close this really is, look at her rookie year. In 2024, Clark finished the season with 6 technicals, one shy of what was then a 7-technical suspension threshold. The league bumped that limit to 8 starting in 2025, which gives her a bit more rope now. But she's reached 5 in just 16 games this season, a faster pace than the year everyone called her too combustible. The trend line is the story. If she keeps playing with this edge, and the officials keep calling it this tightly, the threshold isn't a theoretical ceiling, it's a destination. What I keep coming back to is that Clark seems completely unbothered by any of it. She's not tiptoeing around the technical count. She's clapping louder, naming names, and inviting the consequences, because she's done the math and decided the league blinks first. That's not recklessness. That's a player who understands her own leverage better than the people trying to manage her. Which leaves the real question for you. When the WNBA finishes reviewing this play, what should they actually do? Rescind the technical, admit the clap call was wrong, and treat Clark exactly like they treated Paige Buchers? Or uphold it, hold the line on their own officiating, and let the suspension math fall where it falls, even if that means the face of the league misses a nationally televised game over a clap? You can't split the difference on this one. Either the rule means the same thing for everybody, or it doesn't. Tell me where you land in the comments, and tell me what you expect when these two teams collide again on Wednesday. If you want more breakdowns like this, as the Clark versus the ref saga plays out the rest of the season, subscribe and stick around. This story is a long way from over.